Hey everybody. Well, just doing maybe what's going to be one of the final updates on the Valiant project. Happy to say I'm in the end zone here. Um, I have had this car running and haven't driven it yet, haven't moved it yet, but it's been a long slog. It's been about 2.5 years. Of course, a bunch of that was not working on it, but in the last month I've really went to town on it. I kind of just show you what I've been doing. Of course, one of the last times you saw it was a lot like this, but I've got all the hoses in, got a new radiator in, which wasn't cheap, new battery, new hold down, good kitty helper. Let's see what I did over here. Now this looks all factory as it should be, and that's what I intended, but this is an interesting little story here. Let me get behind here so you can see better. This car is a 71, and 71 Plymouth did not have a charcoal canister or anything like that. They didn't have that type of system. They had a very crude type of vapor recovery system, I guess you would call it. It routed the carburetor fumes, gas vapors, into the crankcase. So how the story goes is everything was intact on this car, but I had changed the fuel tank on it to a later version that I had in my parts stash. So what I decided to go ahead and do was I had it in mind to go ahead and put the more simple late model vapor recovery system on it. But what prompted me to go ahead and actually do it was that when I got the engine, tried to get the engine running, I couldn't get any fuel flow, any gas up to the fuel pump. So I checked and checked, and it turned out I had a clog in the line somewhere along the bottom of the car there where it runs. So I ended up swapping all the fuel lines out of this thing, taking all the old ones off, but the good used ones I had off the later car, put them on. So continuing with the theme of trying to upgrade it to the most modern version of everything, because I want to drive this car a lot. I went ahead and installed a cats are playing. Went ahead and put charcoal canister in, used all the factory bracket and everything, located it where it normally would be, and then I put in the overflow jug, which these 71s didn't have these, at least I'm aware of, so I had one. So I went ahead and just drilled the holes where it's supposed to go and mounted that, and then when I did that I had to move the horn over, moved it from there to there, so and just get everything kind of finalized. I got to do a little bit more tidying up some wires and things like that, but of course got new belts and saw that before. Got a new fuel pump, a new fuel filter. I had a lot of problems with my fuel pump. It kept leaking. The outlet kept leaking where the line goes in. So I got another fuel pump, and then I actually had to try about three different outlet lines on it. These got a kind of a, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got kind of a weird, comes out and makes a dip and a U shape so you can have that filter down there where it's at. That's where it's supposed to be. So, and had to do a bunch of work on the brakes, and they're not completely finished yet, but they work. Had to fix the window regulator that you've seen before. It had that plastic on there. I got that fixed. It had a pin in the bottom of it where it mounts to the bottom of the glass, and the little pin, the nylon pin, had come out. So I had to make a repair on that. And I got it running. It wasn't running too well, and turned out the timing was way off, so I fixed that. And it seemed like it had a vacuum leak, and believe it or not, I traced down the vacuum leak in this thing. It had the power booster that I'd used out of my old parts stash. Old parts car was no good. It was ruptured, so I had to go in and put another one of those on, and that fixed all that up. So anyway, what is the summation of this big long story is I think we're ready to do a cold start on it, and I'm going to see if I can get it backed out and take it over and park it in the driveway. Well, excuse me, I guess the yard. Because that's just kind of a, there's no real reason for that, but it's just been sitting here so long, and it's just kind of one of these things that makes me feel like I've actually done something if I can get it to move. Now, this transmission, I don't know anything about it. It seems like it goes in gear. I'm going to have to check the fluid real quick before I move it. But so, all right, let's see what we got. All right, okay. Little regulators on the back of these gauges quit, so my fuel and my temperature gauges aren't working right now. I got to repair that. Got a sticking brake light switch. cold natured. I think the choke's coming off of it. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. That makes me more happy than you know. This was a shitload of work to get this thing to run. I'm going to tell you something else. It's 40 degrees out here today, and I'm 40 years old. And my point of that is you know, I've been out here for a month now, rolling around in the cold weather, and the rain, and the wet. I'm tired, so I don't want to hear anybody ever say, I'm too tired, it's too wet, it's too cold. That's bullshit. Let's get out here and do it, folks. Got a little bit of an oil leak. It was leaking off the valve cover. You can kind of see it smoking there. Just look real close. I think I cheaped out on the valve cover gaskets when I've been along. I took it off and looked at it. It's like I got that old kind of those bonded gaskets. They're crap. I'll have to probably go back and put the good old forces on it. I think my mixture's a little bit off. It's gonna need some tweaking, you know, but I can't complain. Get some exhaust on it. How can he go so fast? Okay. You want to play game? Oh, goodness. Oh, the heat works in this thing. Watch it blow up. right, guys. Signing off.